I really do enjoy rereading. I think if you've got a good story, you can read that same story so many times, and especially... Hello my loves, and thank you for joining me. It's Kirsten and we're at the start of another weekly reading vlog, and this weekly reading vlog has to end on Sunday. Next week I am off on holiday and I need to have everything done by Sunday. I've also got to get this editing as I go so it's all up in time so that by the time you see this I'm on holiday. Reading. We've got a couple books that I want to get read this week, although it is already Tuesday, and like I said, this needs to finish on Sunday, so how much we get read, I don't know. The one book I'm in the middle of is The Mysterious Case of the Appleton Angels, and this is by Janice Hallett. Just over halfway through. I'm up to part 4, page 241, and I am conflicted about this book. If you saw last week's vlog, you'd know that it's mainly the formatting that I'm not 100% gelling with in this, because it's mainly, well, it is all transcripts, WhatsApp messages, emails. It's not actually anything in terms of like a novel being written, like of like description, anything. Like, it's none of that. The writing style I'm not gelling with, because I feel like there are times where we have Amanda, our main character, who is a journalist, and Oliver, who is a rival journalist. They're working together for 2 separate books on this case about this cult that happened that was convincing a young girl that her baby was the Antichrist and that they had to kill him. Now that went wrong, but there was ritualistic murders that took place, and they're trying to find out what actually happened, because nothing was actually done, like no actual investigation was done around the case. So it is really interesting, but we have Amanda and Oliver that are trying to look into this, that are using their journalist skills to find out what actually happened. But there'll be moments where they're in a situation together where they're going to see different people that are still alive from that case, but it's all done in transcripts. And I'm like, but you could have just had both of you, like that being a descriptive part where you have both of you that are going, you could get the descriptions of how the building looks, you could get the descriptions of the people involved, their facial expressions, everything, but we lose all of that and we just get the words that are said. And while I do love the person that is transcribing it, Ellie, because she puts in little comments in brackets, which I think are really fun, that's about the only thing I'm really enjoying about this. I am missing interactions, the facial expressions, the descriptions, all of that I am missing, and so I cannot connect to this book. And the way it's done, like, I do like it, because at the very start of this book it says, hey, you find this safe, and inside this safe is a stack of documents, and you read these and you have to decide, do you throw away the key or do you take it to the police? And I like that, because then this is the stack of documents that you found, and you're going through it and you're reading it and you're seeing all these different inconsistencies and weird things that are going on, and I like the concept of it. I just think that as a reader I need more description and more work. I am hoping that by the end of this I'm really gonna love it, and I think it really worked, but I'm just not sure. So I did a bit of research on Goodreads last night when I was reading this. I was hoping to finish it in time for last week's vlog. That never actually happened, but the Goodreads reviews are massive. Like, lots of people seem to love this. There's loads of 5 and 4-star reviews of this book, and the ones that aren't, that are a bit lower, are just because of the formatting, and I feel like that's where I'm at. The other book I really want to read this week, The Christie Affair by Nina D. Gramont, and this is book that you chose out of the TBR game that I did for November. So I did 3 rolls for November, and one of the rolls I had 2 books to choose between, and this one won by a landslide. So I'm going to be reading this. This is all about when Agatha Christie disappeared for 11 days. Nan O'Dear is the only one that knows the truth about her disappearance. I'm really excited to give this one a read. I'm very curious about it. I think it's going to be really good. I had originally planned to do like an Agatha Christie reading week where I read this and then also reread the book club pick for Discord and do all of that, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do the reread this and finish this. Instead, we're just going to do finishing this one and this one, because I am back to work tomorrow. So I've got work for 5 days. I also still need to pack. I need to edit this video as I go, so that is all done in time. Today I've got 3 videos to film. 1 I need to fully edit and upload. So there's a lot going on, so I don't think I'm going to be able to fit in the reread of The Body in the Library. So I think instead I'm going to take that one on holiday. We are going with these. We're going for a red book themed week, although the dust jacket for this is blue. But yeah, so that's what we're going to go with. Hopefully it'll be good. Bit of a busier reading week, like in terms of I've just got lots of stuff going on. But I hope you're all doing really well. Let me know what you've been up to, what you've been reading, and yeah, okay, I'm going to go and get started with all the things that I need to do, and I will catch up with you very soon, probably tomorrow, if I can get Appleton Angels finished. I would really love to do that today. Anyway, right. Stop rambling. We've got to stop. Get on with everything that we need to do. Finished The Mysterious Case of the Appleton Angels by Janice Hallett, and this was fine. I think for me it wasn't anything groundbreaking. I mean, I've already said about the formatting anyway, so I'm not going to get back into that. I can understand how for some people that would be amazing, and I know a lot of the reviews were people really enjoying that because it was so different. For me, however, I feel like there were definitely aspects of the formatting that were not needed in this book. So certain things that were put in this stack of documents that were there that kind of just confused the plot line rather than added to it. And by that I mean the different types of media that were put into this. So you have 4 different types of media that we're looking into. That's all related to this case or inspired by this case. However, half of that media wasn't even needed, and I knew it wasn't needed, and so by the halfway point I was skipping past those bits because I'm like, you're adding nothing to this narrative, so I'm just gonna ignore you and go past. And then the 2 that were adding things to the narrative, those I would read. I knew that they were important to the narrative, so I feel like it was very obvious, and I feel like the twists and turns that the book take wasn't anything surprising to me because I had guessed where it was going already, especially with our 2 main characters and the way that all unfolded. I had guessed, and I guessed it pretty early on because of the way, I mean, I mentioned it because of the way Amanda was, that I was like, this is where we're going. And I just feel like the plot that I wanted, where we were focusing on the case and trying to tease out everything that was going on with that, was actually in the background to this other plot line that I'm like, but that's not what I wanted. Also the lighting, I mean, we know the drill by now if you've been around for a little while. Use natural lighting. It is a cloudy, sunny day, so it's all over the place. I like this book. It was all over the place. I felt for me the plot line was just too erratic. I think it was a mixture of things. It was the formatting for me, having extra things in here that just confused the plot line rather than helping it. I mean, I'm glad I knew so I didn't waste my time reading all of those parts, but you know, they weren't needed. They could have been taken out, and I think it would have been a bit better. Then to have the way that the end plot line went, I'm like, yeah, but we knew that was going to happen. So I don't know, it didn't, I mean, I read it because I was really intrigued by this. I have heard nothing but good reviews. It just didn't quite work for me, which is a bit of a shame. I'm pleased that I gave it a try anyway. It could have been awesome, but I think it got too caught up in the other plot line that was going on, which then was confusing this case rather than it being a sole focus on the case of the Appleton Angels, which is what I wanted it to be. So I feel like that's a bit of a shame, and like we did get all the revelations of the case at the end, but it all felt really rushed and none of it felt like a natural progression of, oh, this is what we're finding out. Instead it felt a bit like, well, why have we just info dumped this all at the end? And because again, Amanda was keeping things to herself, so even as a reader we didn't find out things. This is why I prefer prose, because then I can be inside her head and find out these things as I go along, and I'm a lot more involved. And this one I felt too removed to have that extra connection, and I feel like even with the secondary plot line I could have got behind that more if I had been inside Amanda's head and seen everything. I wasn't, and so I just feel like it was okay. It was fine. I don't think I would reread this one. That being said, I have started The Christie Affair this morning. I've only actually read 10 pages. That is all I read this morning. I was doing that while I was having breakfast. And this is by Nina de Gramont, and I'm really liking this so far. I mean, admittedly, I've only read the first 10 pages, but so far I'm really enjoying the writing style. Now, that could just be because I have actual prose, and I'm very happy with that again. I'm liking it. So this is a book from Nan's perspective so far. Now, Nan is Archie's mistress. Now, Archie is Agatha Christie's husband. And this is all taking place a day before the disappearance. So when Agatha Christie disappeared for 11 days in 1926 in December, we don't know what happened. Like, nobody knows. She refused to speak about it, and so this is kind of like a fictionalized version of what went on from the perspective of the mistress that was involved. And I'm really intrigued by this. I mean, so far the writing style is really good. I really like it. Nan, we've already got the starts of a bit of background with her, with realizing that she's come from difficulty, like she's not had things easily, she's always had to fight for the things that she wants, that she feels bad for the position that she's put in Agatha in, but at the same time she's like, well, Agatha will land on her feet, she's always had things, she's always got resources, I've got nothing, so I'm taking what I need because this is the way I can survive. And I don't think she's even that attracted to Archie, to be fair. She's more just being pliant and being what he wants. And my camera's doing this thing. I don't know what's going on with my camera, but it keeps doing this. If anyone knows anything about what is my camera? I think it's like an M50 Canon, and it keeps doing this thing. If you've got any way of telling me how to turn this off, that would be great, because I have no idea. Yeah, she does not seem attracted to Archie in the slightest. She's more doing this so that she gets the financial stability through him, basically. Her and Agatha seem to have this kind of weird relationship as well, because Agatha's always been very, very polite. Like, she knows what's going on, it's very obvious, but she doesn't call them out on it. She's not having a go at them. She's just invited Nan to lunch. So I don't know, we'll see. And I'm really liking this so far, and I think it is just because I'm back to having novelized prose rather than a whole book made up out of transcripts, emails and WhatsApp messages. I think that was my main gripe, paired with the plotline thing. Wasn't quite what I wanted. But yeah, this I'm really enjoying. I think this is probably going to be the only book I read this week. I am back to work for the next 5 days, and that's as long as this vlog is going to be, is for the next 5 days, because then we need to stop it so that I can start the holiday one. Ooh, before I go though, I have a little package. I'm very excited for this one. So I ordered this from basically Brit. Now Brit has a YouTube channel. She's absolutely amazing. I love her YouTube channel. But she also has a online art store, and she started doing these Bookish coasters, and I have been in love with them. So I knew the minute the new drop went live, I wanted one. And of course I had to pick up a sticker as well, because isn't this just beautiful? Oh, this is lovely. Oh, this is such good quality. Oh, I love this. Brit designed this coaster, and it's an autumn themed bookshop coaster, and I think it's absolutely divine. What I'm hoping she does is that she does one for each season, and then I can pick them up, and then I will have a set of bookshop coasters for each season. I will be so ecstatic if she does that. If not, and I've just got this one, I'm still very, very happy with it. She did do a plain bookstore before she decided to do the season one, and I did want to get that with this, but it seems like this has replaced the plain one, the original bookshop one, which is a shame. I knew I should have bought it at the time, but I thought, well, she's just said she's going to be dropping this one, so I might as well wait and get both at the same time. But no, it's one at a time. I love this. I love it so much. It is so cute and adorable, and I think it is absolutely amazing. So I'm very excited to have this and then eventually get the whole set. It's going to be so cute. So yeah, I had to talk about this. Oh, I'm so excited. Actually, the shipping was really quick as well. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased with these. So if you do want to check her out, I'll have her channel linked below, and you can have a little peruse if you want to. But this is so good. I mean, Brit's an amazing YouTuber, so excited, and I had to support it, and obviously I got so excited for these coasters. They are just so adorable. So yeah, very happy with that. And now that's all the updates. So I think what I'm going to do is do a little bit of editing. I need to edit this video as I go, because I am flying out Monday, and I'm working Sunday until 11:30 in the evening. So I'm coming home, and then Monday morning, got to get up and go to the airport. So I'm not going to have time to edit this at any other point. So I'm having to edit as I go, which is also why this vlog's got to end on Sunday, so that I can finish and upload this vlog on Sunday, so that it's all done. That's it. So I should probably stop rambling and actually go and do that editing, which I'm pretty sure I end every single one of these clips with me saying stop rambling and go do something, because otherwise I would just sit here continuing to talk to you about absolute nonsense. And while I'm sure lots of you are okay with that, because lots of you do tell me that you do like the rambles, it does also mean that then don't do the things that I have to do. So I have to go and do that. But I am very excited to continue on with the Christie affair. I'm going to take this to work, read it on my lunch break. I think this will be the only book I read this week, but I'm very, very excited with it. I think it's going to be great. It's not too long. It's 355 pages long, so I can definitely get that done this week. But I also don't want to start another book, be in the middle of it for when I go on holiday, because I've already packed. I mean, you saw last night I was packing the suitcase, and I have packed one big book, which is Crescent City, and then I've also packed a few manga volumes that me and my partner want to read together, and then I will have a book for my on-haul luggage to have with me while we're on the flight, because it's like a 3 and a bit hour flight, so I'll definitely be bringing that with me, which is going to be an Agatha Christie book. So I don't really want to start another one. We'll see. We're going to read this first, and then we'll see how it goes. If anything, I could always pick up a Kindle book and then just take my Kindle on holiday, because that's easy enough. Which there is a Kindle book that I want to read, actually. Or do we do that? I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. But physical book is going to be this. Kindle book, if I do, I think I know exactly what it's going to be, which is another thriller by Ashley Winstead, because I love her books. Like, they're just so good, and so I'm trying to make my way through her backlist. But right, okay, I'm still rambling. Let's go. I need to edit. Let's do that. I've made a bit of progress with the Christie affair, and I'm really liking this one. So currently I'm up to page 103, and this is split across kind of 2 timelines. One is the disappearance, like as it's happening, the day before, the first day, the second day. We're now on day 3. And we have it dated Monday the 6th of December 1926, and this is following Nan, kind of her perspective on what's happening with the disappearance of Agatha, her involvement in it, and the reflections of a retired police officer that's involved, Archie, Agatha's husband. So you're getting that perspective, but it's from Nan. Nan is the one that's telling this story, and she's talking about how the whole country got involved to find Agatha Christie. I love it. I'm really, really enjoying that. And then we get a second timeline where we have Nan's past. This isn't done by timelines. Instead, it is done by chapters that just say, "Here lies Sister Mary." And this is the same chapter title for every one that's in the past of Nan's past. And we follow her from a very young child, and she's going over to Ireland to be with her dad's side of the family on the farm. And she goes over there every summer, and she meets this young boy, and then their relationship kind of gets put on hold because of the war that happens. Really lovely, but also very heartbreaking as well, because you learn about Nan's family, her eldest sister, and the things that happened there. It's very touching, but also it is very sad, and it shows a lot of the sensibilities at the time, especially surrounding women being pregnant outside of marriage, and the way that is so frowned upon that even the family doesn't support the women in most of these cases. It's really, really heartbreaking. Nan's had a very hard life. I'm really interested to see the development that goes on, because she has this sweetheart. I'm really intrigued to see what's led her to where she is now, where they're not together anymore, and she's chosen instead to go down this lifestyle where she's going after Archie, who is already married. And I know it's for like the security, the financial stability of it all, but to go from loving someone so much to then being with this man who she has no real interest in at all, she's just doing it for her own personal gain. Like, I'm really intrigued to see what's going on there. And it's also really interesting to see like books that were being printed at the time, and seeing the way they were received, and also seeing how kind of Agatha Christie started out as being this author that was doing well, but definitely wasn't the phenomenon that she was going to become. Yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm really liking it. I'm really interested to see whether Nan ever meets Agatha during this time that she's disappeared. It is a slow moving book, but it's, I don't know, I really am enjoying it, and it's definitely a book I could annotate. There's lots of lines that I could be underlining in here that are just really well written, or just very poignant. Like, there's lots of different things that I'm really enjoying in this. This is really good. I'm really liking it. I'm surprised more people don't talk about this book, but it's really, really good. I'm liking this, and I'm also like curious as to like what is Nina's portrayal of what happened when Agatha Christie went missing for 11 days, because as far as I know, even to today, we don't actually know what happened because Agatha never spoke about it and she was never found. I'm saying this with not knowing too much about it, but I am planning on reading a non-fiction book about Agatha Christie in the next couple months, so it's really interesting to have a fictionalized version of what's going on, and then I'll be reading a non-fiction version and I can see what inspiration was taken from the non-fiction event. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this. This is really good. And yeah, I'm reading it a bit slower than what I thought, but I'm also okay with that. So this is definitely going to be the only book I get finished this week. Well, apart from the fact that I finished The Appleton Angels. I'm enjoying the setting, the realities of this being time where we have been at war, and those people that are trying to deal with it afterwards, that fear of, is there going to be another one, and what are we going to do, and the reality of having a society touched in some way by this war and the effects that it has on them and how it does change things. So that's something I'm really interested to see in Nan's perspective, because she's had this sweetheart. They grew up together every summer, and before he went away to war, that he was very much like, you know, we're going to get a farm together, we're going to do all of this as soon as I'm back, like it's not going to be long. Ends up dragging out for so much longer than what they planned, and then he does come back. And I'm like, okay, but what's happened in that interim? Because he's come back different. But at the time when they first met, like we've just gone from when he's first come back and they're so ecstatic, so excited. And she's like, I'm not thinking about all these other women and the stories that you hear about them falling pregnant and all of this stuff. Like, I don't care about any of that. I am just so happy he's back. It's me and him against the world, and he's never going to leave me. You know, he's not going to be one of those people. Really intrigued to see what goes on. Like, I know she ends up pregnant because that's at the very start of the book where she's actually going to a convent, and I'm like, but why wasn't he there with you? What happened? Even with the two timelines, there isn't one that I'm wanting to read more than the other, because I'm intrigued by both. Like, I'm really intrigued with the disappearance of Agatha Christie, and I like the way that's being done, and I like the way that we're seeing it from different perspectives. It's from Nan's perspective, but you're seeing how she thinks about how each of these people that are involved, how they would have acted. And she's like, it might seem unusual to you that I know these things, but haven't you ever had a situation where you know a person so well, you know exactly what they're going to do, and based on what you know of that person, the situation, the facts that you do find out, you can fill in the blanks yourself, and that's what she's doing. So I'm finding that really interesting, and then I'm also really enjoying her story, her background. So I'm loving both perspectives. I think they're both really well done, and like I said, I do really like the comments on society at the time. I'm really enjoying it, and honestly I think I would be annotating this. I know if I was annotating I would take a lot longer to read this book, and I do want to get it finished this week. I think this one, if it carries on the way it's going, it's definitely going to be a reread, and I would definitely be annotating it. Like, honestly, I've been really lucky with that. I feel this month is every week I've had a book that I annotate, and I haven't, mainly because the last book that I really enjoyed that I could annotate, I read on Kindle. Actually, and I think the one before that was a Kindle book as well. So these are all books that I'm like, okay, well, I need physical copies of all of these so I can reread them. And this is another one where, as much as I'm reading them physically, I don't really have the time to annotate it, because when I'm annotating a book, I really like to take my time with it, really think about the different things that I decide to tab, the different comments, and so I do find annotating a book is easier upon reread than first read, but I do enjoy annotating on first read as well, because I just think it would be really nice when I go to reread a book that's been annotated, I can see the annotations I first made, and then I love the idea of using a different coloured pen to underline things again, like things that I missed upon first read that I can then underline, and I can see the progress. And then the third time I go to reread that book, because I am a serial rereader, if I enjoy a book I'm going to reread it to no end. It would just be really nice to see that progression, I think, personally. So yeah, anyway, what I'm basically saying is I really wish I was annotating this book, but I also don't really have the time to annotate this book. If it carries on the way it's going, this is going to be an easy reread, and I will happily annotate it then, and I will just keep in mind the things that I've been thinking about and know that that's what I'll be annotating when I go forward, plus other things I find upon reread. I don't know if any of you are like that, like if you do annotate your books, or whether you like to annotate again on reread, or whether you only annotate on reread. Like, I love rereading books, and I think that comes back to I was younger, and actually not even that long ago, like a few years ago, didn't have the money to have the book collection that I have now, and so I had a very small collection of books that I would just constantly reread, with the occasional new book for like a birthday or Christmas. Now it's a different story, and I have loads of books, and so I haven't been rereading as much, but I really do enjoy rereading. I think if you've got a good story, you can read that same story so many times, and especially as you get older, you will notice different things within a book. It just works. Anyway, that was a bit of a random tangent about annotating and rereading. You'll have to let me know, do you like to reread? Do you like to annotate? It's really interesting. I know some people that don't enjoy rereading, and I'm always really curious as to why. Is it because you already know the story and so you then don't want to read it again? Like, I don't know. I think for me that just, I mean, like I say, I reread so often. Like, some of the oldest books I've got, I have reread that same book probably a good 10 times because I enjoy a book, so I'm just going to keep rereading it. That's definitely something I need to bring back, is rereading books, because I love it so much. Right, anyway, I've been rambling. That was a tangent. I need to edit this update now, and then I'm thinking to do some lunch. I have asked to start work earlier today because my back's been bothering me, to do a different shift pattern, but they haven't actually got back to me yet, so I don't know what's going on there. So I'm thinking I should probably have lunch slightly earlier, just in case they tell me I can go in early. It's only around the corner for me, so it doesn't matter even if they tell me like half hour before I'm due to start. It's not too bad because I'm pretty close. But yeah, it's aggravated today, and I'm just like, I've only got 2 more late. No, I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so I've got 3 more late, and it would just be really nice to do a slightly different shift pattern because then I don't have to do as much of the moving around. We'll see. Again, not that you needed to know that either, but right, okay. I'm actually going to stop now. I'm going to update, no, we have done the update. I'm going to edit this vlog, and then I'm going to finish off packing little things because I've decided what journal I'm taking on holiday. I love to, okay, we're going on another tangent, but I love to journal when I'm on holiday. Normally I take this, which is my vintage journal. I haven't actually worked in this in a little while, but this is more like a personal thing for me, where I just do like this collage with a few notes. Sometimes I will put in a spread like when I'm doing it, and I'll film it and I chuck it in a vlog, but one thing that I normally do is I always take this on holiday with me and do like 1 or 2 spreads when I'm on holiday. However, I haven't been feeling like doing this one, and I go through phases of when I want to do it and when I don't, but one that I would like to start, which I just haven't, is gonna be a travel journal specific to days out that me and my partner do and holidays that we do together. And we haven't started it yet, so I thought, because we're always busy, and then when we do meet up and spend time with each other, we're always busy doing other things, I thought, seeing as we're going on a holiday, we can just chill out and set this up together and decide what holidays are we going to start fresh, or are we going to go backwards to all the holidays that we've done together and all the different days out that we've done, and just have a whole set journal for it. But I feel like between that and all the books I want to read and the games we're probably going to play, I don't think I'm going to have time to do both, and I haven't been feeling it, so I feel like I might do a spread when I get back off holiday, just for the holiday in general. Maybe 2, if depending on what we did, if there was like different experiences. So I'll definitely put it in here. I might just do it once I'm back, and then we can spend a bit of time going through this, setting it up. Should I just have talked about that in the holiday vlog? And probably will I when we start setting it up? Yes, it's what I'm thinking about now. Okay, now this update is like 15 minutes long. I'm now going to go and we'll start editing it and just see what the day brings. Good morning. I stayed up really late last night finishing the Christie affair, to the point where I did mean to be up earlier than what I woke up today, because, you know, gotta finish off packing, finish editing this vlog, get it all uploaded and stuff before I have work, and well, we'll see if all that gets done. I did finish the Christie affair, and I just want to say I think I liked this book, but it's not quite what you would expect going into it. That's a lot of the case with some of the reviews. This book is obviously marketed as what happened to Agatha Christie when she went missing for 11 days, a fictionalised version of events, but using some actual facts to give the groundwork for this. So the actual facts were that yes, Archie Christie did have a mistress who he later married, and yes, Agatha Christie did go missing for those 11 days and does not tell anyone what happened. That's kind of where it stops with regards to Agatha Christie. I actually think that this book is more of a historical fiction looking at young women and how they were treated, mainly in Ireland, because that's where Nan was at the time when she was pregnant and dealing with everything. The dreadful conditions that they had to go through. Now, not just women in Ireland, but women in general after the World War I, and how they were dealing with the fact that, you know, a lot of their men came home from the war, they ended up getting pregnant, they may not have been married at the time. Obviously, this was at a time where it was very frowned upon to be pregnant outside of marriage, and so a lot of the time the answer was to ship them off to a convent. Some of those conditions were awful, and the things that Nan goes through is really shocking and really heartbreaking. It really does pull on the heartstrings. Like, it was so sad. As a result though, this book is a bit of a mixed bag of a plot line going on, because I think Agatha Christie part of this was more of a convenience of this happened at the same time as what Nan's going through, and we're going to use this as a way to explore a past for this mistress, which I don't know whether that's true or not. I don't think so. Go down this convoluted route of doing it all. Not saying it was bad. Like, I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it is the best book, and I can understand why a lot of people wouldn't like it, because it is a messy plot. The parts of Agatha Christie, like, you just don't really get anything to do with that. It is very much in the background, which I think is then not the right way to market this, because you would think that having this be a book about Christie going missing for those 11 days, we're seeing this from the mistress's perspective, you would think that Agatha Christie would have more of a say in this story, but she doesn't. It is definitely Nan's story, the mistress's story. Potentially fictional. Again, I haven't read any non-fiction about the mistress, so I don't actually know fictionalized versions of events of what happened. That is drawing upon the historical realities of what women had to go through at the time. So not really a book about Agatha Christie going missing, more just using that as a convenience for the plot. Now, there is a bit of a mystery that gets thrown in here as well. I feel like, yes, it goes with the historical fiction part of this, and it ties in with Nan's story without trying to give away too many spoilers, but I feel like you need to know this going in. You can't go into this thinking it's going to be a story about Agatha Christie, because it's really not. Like, she is there, she is a part of it, but it's really not about her. And you do have obviously some fictionalized characters in this, and that's why I think a lot of Nan's past, like, that's all fictionalized. From what I can make out from this, but based on real events that happened in history to other women, which is really heartbreaking. And so I think if you go into this seeing it as that, a historical fiction book based on the effects of what happened to women during this time period if they were pregnant outside of marriage, then I think you could go into this with a bit more understanding. I actually didn't mind it. I actually think it was really beautiful and heartbreaking. It's kind of eye-opening because I didn't realise, I mean, I knew some things that women have to deal with, I just didn't realise it was as recent as the 1920s. Okay, if we put it into perspective, it was actually a while ago. We're talking about 100 years ago, but also it's not that long ago. And the fact that this is how women were treated, it is atrocious. To think that if that happened today, the uproar that would come about because of this, I should be more clear on that. If that happened today in England, the uproar that would happen with that, because I know other countries, obviously women do not have the freedom that we have. It's absolutely atrocious. I was so angry and upset and heartfelt, but it is a messy plot. Like, if I judge this book on what this book is, with the plot line of Agatha Christie, this random mystery that gets thrown in. It's a mess. It is a mess of a plot line. Nina should have kind of just fine-tuned what she wanted. Now, in the acknowledgements, this idea actually came from her editor. Her editor said to her, so in 2015, her agent sent me an email whose subject line read, "What about writing a novel about this?" And attached was an article of the lineup by Matthew Thompson, Lady Vanishes, The Mysterious Agatha Christie Disappearance. It wasn't her idea. Maybe that's why that takes such a setback for this. And I do feel like this would have been so much more impactful if we just took Agatha Christie out of the equation and we just focused on Nan and the things that she went through and didn't make it as Nan is Archie's mistress, who is based on Nancy, the real mistress. But if we just took that out and then just had this plot of what these women are going through and then the mystery plot and all of that, so that would have worked really well together. I think it would have been a really nice cohesive book, but having that added part of Agatha Christie is where this became really messy. I don't think this is an Agatha Christie book, and so because of that I can say it's not the best, because that is the way this is marketed, that is the way it's meant to be, and that plotline is messy. However, I enjoyed the historical fiction parts so much. They tugged on so many emotions that I can kind of overlook that and go, well, if you take out that part, this was a really interesting book. I'm now really intrigued to learn more about this time in history that gets glossed over because we focus on the glitz and the glamour of the 1920s, you know, the flappers, all of this. You had Fitzgerald writing his books, like you had all of this, like it's always seen as such an amazing glitzy glamorous time. And then this book focuses on, well, actually, what if you looked past that and you saw what was really going on underneath the surface? Eye-opening. Loved it. Really want to learn more. She cited a few non-fiction books that I'm intrigued to look into. That's something that I might use my library more for, is non-fiction book, and just see, so I can have a flick through and be like, okay, is this a book that, yes, I think I can get on with this writing style? Because non-fiction, small tangent that I shouldn't have because I don't have time, but non-fiction is normally something that I read around authors, or the occasional non-fiction book about like life on our planet, things like that, things that I'm genuinely very like interested by. But generally the narration style of topics that are outside of authors are by people that I know, so it'll be really interesting to try non-fiction books from the library to see if I can get on with them, because obviously I'm reading this because I'm curious. I don't necessarily want something really, really heavy that I'm going to study from. I'm interested in that, and I think if you look at it from a historical point of view, it's a very good book and I really liked it. It's just a shame that the plot gets so muddled because it's also trying to be an Agatha Christie book. In my opinion, I think that should have been taken out. Or you focused on Agatha Christie. I feel like we had two different books, one that was a lot more developed, which is the historical fiction side, and then one that wasn't developed but was just a background, like an idea for a story, and they got meshed together. That's what I think. But that does bring us to the end of this weekly reading vlog. So, to recap, I finished The Appleton Angels, The Mysterious Case of the Appleton Angels by Janice Hallett, and I didn't really get on with this one because of the formatting, which is a shame. It's actually, I've read two books with very messy plot lines, and I feel like the plot line that was focused on in this book was not what I wanted at all, and so this is why for me it doesn't really work. So alongside the formatting and then the messy plot line, this wasn't something I could get behind, but thank you so much to Naomi for gifting it to me anyway. I was very intrigued to read this one. Unfortunately, it just didn't quite work for me. And then the second book with a messy plot line, obviously I read The Christie Affair, but I kind of preferred it, probably because it was written in prose, so that always helps, but also because I found the main plot line that wasn't what the plot line should have been for this book very intriguing and, like I say, very emotional, and I really want to find out more about that time period and what happened to these girls, rather than the glitzy glamour that's always portrayed from the 1920s. Those are the two books read this week, and I think we're done. I was going to say this is slightly shorter vlog than normal, but no, not really. Although I know the B-roll was a bit lacking this week. I've just been so busy, and mainly all I've been doing is working, trying to get the books read, updating a vlog, and then editing it straight away. Like, there hasn't been much going on. Apologies for that, but yeah. Anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this weekly reading vlog. Let me know if you've read either of these books. I know a couple of you said that you did read this one. It'd be interesting to see whether you agree that the plot line's just a bit too messy or not. That'll be intriguing. Let me know. Okay, so what are we gonna do for emoji? I don't actually know. Let's just do a leaf emoji. Choose a leaf. Let's put a leaf in the comments below. Why not? But right, okay, I need to go on and actually edit this bit, so hopefully it's still up in time. It depends whether I can also upload it in time. Sometimes YouTube's a bit slow for upload. Fingers crossed I get it all done in time. If not, it will be 2 days later than normal, so it's not too bad. But I still need to do some final packing. I've got to take the dog for a walk. I need to start the other vlog, and I need to try and edit this, and I've got, what, 3 hours to do that all in before I need to be leaving the house. So actually more like 2.5 to give myself half hour to actually get ready for work. Fingers crossed we get it all done in time. But yes, if you made it this far, then let's put any leaf that you like in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give it that thumbs up, subscribe and comment. Those 3 things really help this channel grow. My social media links and anyone I've mentioned will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the very next video.